These are my favorite boozy fragrances. Hi guys, I'm Thiago, welcome back to my channel. Here we talk about fragrances, and today I'd like to talk to you about my favorite boozy fragrances. Meaning fragrances with a alcoholic note into them, being it rum, whiskey, cognac, you name it. And boozy fragrances are actually some of my favorite, or actually one of my favorite types of or genres of fragrances. So naturally, I'm very excited to share these with you because they're all fragrances that I truly love to wear and I enjoy a lot wearing them. Even though I'm not a drinker, I don't like to drink a lot. I quite enjoy fragrances that smell like alcohols or have an alcoholic note to them. And first I would like to share with you my scent of the day. Today I'm wearing Oud Monarch from Bortnikoff. And this fragrance just moves me. It's one of the best uses of florals that I've ever smelled. The frangipani and the magnolia and a bit of a rosy touch with the cacao, a powdery cacao, and also slightly vegetal in a way, so it's like a cacao pod really, backed against the oud that's not very prominent or funky here. It's all so balanced, so well blended. It's a very refined fragrance that I would not mind having a bottle, and I may or may not have a bottle incoming actually. I'm super glad I sampled it first because, I mean, you never know. I suspected I would like it and I absolutely love it. It's one of the best things I've ever put my nose on, honestly. I'm not trying to hype it up. I mean, not that Bortnikoff needs any hype. This fragrance just, it's something magical, at least off my skin. The cardamom that's present from the beginning up to the very dry down, it's just exquisite. Very well done. It's a very well done fragrance, and I have a bottle incoming. I got a very good deal on it on Beauty Now, for which I have an affiliate link. You can find it in the description. You get 10% off your first order, or if you use a different email, you get 10% off anyway. So yeah, I was able to get a bottle there and it's coming maybe tomorrow. I'm very excited. So the first one up was actually my first niche fragrance, like 4 years ago. It feels like yesterday, to be honest. But yeah, this one brings me very good memories. It was my first introduction. Well, and on that day I tried so many fragrances, like I tried everything on that store. But I had Baraonda on my arm and I kept going back to it. Even though I had like, I don't know, 5 or 6 different fragrances on me, Baraonda I kept getting wafts of it. And yeah, in the opening, this is like the most photorealistic whiskey that I've ever smelled. It smells like a bottle of whiskey that I've had in the past. I do like to appreciate whiskey from time to time, even though, like I said, I'm not an avid drinker. I do love to appreciate more complex drinks like whiskeys and cognacs and slightly aged rums as well. And this is a very realistic Scotch, like I would say Highland Scotch. It has more of a floral, fruity vibe about it. It's slightly floral. I would say there's rose and maybe jasmine. There are no notes published for this, so I wouldn't know. It feels slightly honeyed as well. And you know how many times honey is a bit floral in character, on how it tastes and how it smells. So this smells like honeyed florals on an ambery base. It jumps off the skin. I'm pretty sure it has many molecules, like Alessandro Galtieri loves to use, like heavy molecules. I don't smell the characteristic Javanol overdose here, like for example in Bergamasque and many other creations from Orto Parisi. But yeah, this is sublime. This is it jumps off the skin. It's airy, but it's also ambery, floral, honeyed, which I absolutely love. It feels like a glass of Scotch, high quality whiskey, just Lovely, Baraonda. From my first acquisition to my latest acquisition, actually, this one is very special to me because I remember smelling it time and time again. I went to the stores and I always smelled this one, and I always thought I would never be able to afford it because it's a Roja, it's Enigma. And you know, this is Enigma Parfum, by the way. And you know how Rojas are just over the top expensive, but this one, again, I got a very good deal on it on Beauty Now. I'm not sure if it's still in stock or not, but wow. You know, many people describe this as having a cola vibe in the opening, and yeah, sure, it does have a Coca-Cola float, like a boozy Coca-Cola cocktail in the opening. So it opens up with this cognac, Coca-Cola, sparkly with pepper and neroli and bergamot, and that citrusy, spicy vibe from the opening transitions into the dry down, probably from the tricks that Roja loves to do with Litse Kubeba and some other notes to extend the citrusy, sparkly nature of the opening. And here it's a heavy fragrance, like this on skin, because it has a particularly heavy floral heart. It has a lot of jasmine and heliotrope, and the heliotrope can sometimes go play doughy or almondy or both, and here is a thick almondy heliotrope, which playing along with the vanillic tonka bean base does give it an almond smell. And I love almond smells, and I love cognac and this Coca-Cola vibe, so this fragrance is just something special. I've always wanted to have it, and I'm so happy I finally do. It checks all the boxes for me. I absolutely love Roja Enigma. Now let's go to something a bit more playful. And this one was also one of the first niche fragrances that I got. I got this one when I was traveling to Budapest, and it just smelled great when I was there. I bought this there, and it was cold at the time. I remember we went there like in November, I think. It was pretty chilly outside. Not like freezing cold, it wasn't minus 20 or anything, but it was pretty cold. And Nishane Fan Your Flames just worked wonders. And this, I've always loved the smell of this. Even though some Nishanes rub me the wrong way, they are very heavy scents, they are very hard-hitting scents. Many of them use amber woods, a big dose of amber woods, which I'm not a big fan of. This one I don't feel them as much. So this smells like roasted coconuts with rum up top, like a spiced rum. It smells alluring. It's playful with the roasted coconut and the rum. It also has a pretty solid and dense woody base, a cedar wood and mossy base. This moss note just throws everything off the axis that it starts on, because it's green and it's dry and it's bitter. So yeah, it just throws that sweet edge off, and it just balances it out. It's such a good scent. To me, it also smells like, imagine, and this is a bit abstract, but imagine if you had an old cigar box. Of course, there's also tobacco in here, so it kind of makes sense. An old cigar box made out of cedar wood that had very expensive cigars inside, and it embedded the cigar smell. And for some reason, you just spilled rum inside of that cigar box. Again, for some reason, roasted coconut chips all in the same cigar box, and you smell that cigar box. I imagine it would smell like this. I love the smell of this. I've always loved it. And yeah, it was one of my first as well. So yeah, Nishane Fan Your Flames. Now, a fragrance that was a long time coming to my collection. I just postponed getting a bottle for some reason, even though I absolutely love it. It was one of my first loves as well, when I first got into niche fragrances. I remember going to Embassy Niche Perfumery in Lisbon for the first time, and I smelled everything they got there. Raquel was so nice. She has the patience of an angel, and she has passion for fragrances, and you can feel that. So if you ever go to Lisbon in Portugal, go to Embassy Niche Perfumery. I mean, they're of course they're not paying me to say any of this. I just love them. They have the best service, the best people in there, true passion for fragrances. And the selection as well. It was Hors du Sérail from Naomi Goodsir. This fragrance is something, it's not the most edgy out of the collection of Naomi Goodsir, let's say, but it's a grand fragrance. It opens up with almost every fruit that you can imagine. It's a Bertrand de Chafour, after all, so he likes to do these grand openings for fragrances with a lot of fruits and boozy notes, and this is no different. This opens up with a bright orange and mango and coconut and apple. I usually don't like apple in fragrances, but you'll see another one coming up that I absolutely love. Here I don't get much of the apple, but it's red berries and apple and orange and mango and coconut, all in just soaked in this spiced aged rum. So it's a very rich and just opulent rum opening with the fruits. Has tobacco as well, has incense. The incense here just keeps everything from expanding too much, let's say, and it actually dries down much more calmer. Just it for some reason on my skin, I don't know if it's the same for other people, but it dries down almost like a chamomile tea on my skin, which is pretty weird for a fragrance that opens up with a lot of fruits and booze and tobacco and spices. This slightly herbal vibe of the hay-like tobacco with the mate note. There's a mate absolute in here. Again, the tobacco, the mate, the fruits and the florals in here just make it smell like a chamomile tea on my skin on the dry down, on the very far dry down. And there's a very big honey note in here as well. The honey is just gorgeous. There's honey and beeswax, so at times it does feel a bit more thick. Sometimes you feel like you can wear this in the heat because it's so sparkly and bright and full of fruits and life, but it can get heavy. It can get heavy, and the honey note is beautiful from the top to the very bottom of the fragrance. It's there, present. So yeah, Hors du Sérail, one of my absolute favorites. Up next, a Xerjoff that was love at first sniff for me, which is pretty rare because Xerjoff, you know, they have a lot of fragrances that I love. For example, this one that I'm about to talk about. Some of the oud line are pretty good, like Alcat, and one that I'm forgetting the name that's based with spices and honey. I forgot, but they have quite a lot of good fragrances, but a lot of not so great ones. But well, let's not talk about those. Today it's Iommi from Xerjoff, of course. And this one was love at first sniff. First of all, because it has a thick, heavy patchouli right up center of the fragrance. It's the main player, and it's a thick, earthy patchouli. But if you don't like patchouli, still give it a try, because even though the patchouli is thick, earthy, slightly oily, as patchouli can be sometimes, it doesn't go on the hippie, too herbal side of things, because this is a sweet fragrance, as many Xerjoffs are. It opens up with this bright, juicy, very sweet and slightly tart passion fruit, and this passion fruit is also soaked in rum, so it's like a passion fruit cocktail. There's tobacco in here, and the tobacco is sweet. It's like pipe tobacco. It's a sweet tobacco, and there's a lot of vanilla and caramel. So these nuances and a bit of geranium as well, that gives it a bit of lift, a bit of a rosy, minty, slightly minty lift. It's a very well balanced fragrance to me. It's a big fragrance. I wear this for going out, when I'm going to just go out with friends, or if I'm going to a party, or if I'm going out at night. I like to wear this, or if I'm going to an event, I like to wear this, because it's a big fragrance and it gets noticed. It's a big caramel patchouli with passion fruit and rum. And this was a collaboration, of course, between Tony Iommi, the Black Sabbath guitarist, and Xerjoff. So the composition was partly creatively directed by Tony Iommi, and he chose the main ingredients, let's say, and Xerjoff, of course, put together the fragrance. Iommi from Xerjoff. Now, one of my favorite amouages that also had a long time coming into my collection, because I've tried it when it came out, basically, in 2019, I think. Overture from Amouage is so good. This was quite the way to say goodbye for Christopher Chong. This was, I think, his last, or one of his last creations at Amouage. I think he did still like one or two more, Love Mimosa and Love Lilac, if I'm not wrong. I would have to look that up, but I think so. And this was quite the way to close the curtain, honestly. This, wow. I've heard Ramsey describe the grapefruit in the opening as a meaty grapefruit, and I agree to that 100%. Imagine if you extracted the meat, the pulp of the grapefruit, all of the pulp, and you left behind all the white parts and the rind, the bitter parts. You're just left with this pulp, red pulp of the grapefruit. That's what it smells like. It's a very, very, very realistic grapefruit. It just uplifts the fragrance in a way that it's needed, because this is a heavy fragrance in the dry down, so of course, but it opens up with this very realistic grapefruit. A lot of ginger as well. The ginger in here is just fantastic. One of the best ginger notes as well. So one of the best grapefruits and one of the best ginger notes, and this is not a fresh fragrance, so quite the achievement, let's say. There's also a lot of spices. A lot of people struggle with this one because of the combination between the grapefruit and the cumin. There's a lot of cumin in here, and to some people's noses, of course, all people smell slightly differently. To some people, cumin can smell like body odor, and the grapefruit as well, to some people, can smell like body odor. And some people cannot stand this fragrance, and to me, that's not the case. To me, this is just meaty, sweet, carnal grapefruit with a sparkly cumin. On my skin, I guess I'm lucky. The cumin sparkles a bit. It gives a sparkle to a fragrance that I quite enjoy, and it gives an edge. It's not like a cinnamon, which I think is also present here. You know how cinnamon can be a sweeter spice. But here, there's a lot of spices. There's cumin, there's cinnamon, there's cardamom. The cardamom in here is great too. And it's just such a good fragrance. There's quite a animalic amber underneath that also puts people away, along with a smoky nuance. It's not a very smoky fragrance, not on my skin, not to my nose. But I've heard comments from other people saying this smells like chorizo. To them, this is a very smoky fragrance. It's not to me at all. I get a smoky nuance. That's it. It's slightly leathery. There's labdanum and resins and incense. So it gets quite heavy. An animalic amber that opens up on a sparkly, spicy way with grapefruit as well. And of course, this is a boozy fragrances list, so cognac. The cognac in here is just, it's so well done. It's so well done. It smells like good quality aged cognac. It smells incredible. Now, the next one is a bit of an oddball because it doesn't have a particular boozy note listed officially, but I do pick up sort of a boozy note off of it. And it is Frédéric Malle, Promise. Promise is one of those fragrances that's so huge and so harsh and potent and synthetic that I usually wouldn't like it. But it's done in such a way that I freaking love it. I don't know why, but I love it. And the boozy note I pick up here is sort of a apple liquor. So if you ever had apple liquor, let's say Calvados or something like that, or Macieira from Portugal, it has that apple liquor vibe in the opening. This is such a grand fragrance. Like the green apple here is the best use of an apple accord that I've ever smelled. It's so expansive, it jumps off the skin like nothing else. It lasts on my skin like nothing else that I have on my collection. The rosemary up top is also very realistic. If you've ever used rosemary oil, it smells very close to the rosemary in here. And the pink pepper as well, very rosy, soft, spicy, but lifts the fragrance up even more. There's this oily, super dry cypriol with patchouli and a lot of amberwoods, but done in a way that they don't bother me. And amberwoods are like my they are my no-go. Okay, if a fragrance has too much of an amberwood base, I cannot stand it. This one I love. I don't know how Dominique Ropion managed this, but this is done in a way that I can enjoy amberwoods. So yeah, Promise from Frédéric Malle. Guys, thank you so much again for tuning in, and thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. These were just some of my favorite boozy fragrances, which is one of my favorite categories in fragrance. So I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you've tried these. What are your favorite boozy fragrances? Let's talk in the comments. As always, I appreciate your comments, your support. You guys have been amazing in my first few videos. So thank you so much, guys, and see you in the next one. Bye.